He amputated part of his finger to keep playing. 63 interceptions, 10 Pro Bowls, 4 Super Bowl rings, Hall of Fame, and the most terrifying safety who ever lived. Ronnie Lott didn't just tackle receivers. He destroyed them, ended careers, changed the way the game was played, made grown men afraid to cross the middle. From 1981 to 1994, Ronnie Lott was the enforcer, the judge, the executioner. If you caught a pass over the middle, Ronnie Lott was coming, and you felt it. For days, weeks, the rest of your career. This isn't about interceptions or Pro Bowls. This is about fear. This is about a man who played football like it was warfare, who hit so hard that receivers started running different routes, who was so violent, so punishing, so relentless that the NFL had to change rules because of players like him. Today, we're breaking down Ronnie Lott's brutal ability to destroy receivers, the hits that made him a legend, the intimidation that changed offensive game plans, the toughness that made him immortal, and why modern football will never see another player like him. Let's go. Ronnie Lott was drafted by the San Francisco 49ers in 1981, 8th overall, out of USC. The Niners needed a defensive back. They got a killer. Lott started at cornerback his rookie year, played across from Eric Wright, Bill Walsh's defense, the beginning of a dynasty. Lott had 7 interceptions his rookie season. Good. But that's not what made him special. What made him special was the violence, the hitting. Lott played cornerback like a linebacker. He attacked receivers, didn't just cover them, attacked them, made them pay for every catch, every route. Every time they touched the ball, receivers started hearing footsteps, started looking for number 42 before the ball arrived. That's fear. That's what Lott created. 1984. The Niners moved Lott to safety. Strong safety. Now he had the entire middle of the field. Now he could roam. Now he could hunt. This was the perfect position for Ronnie Lott. He could see everything, read the quarterback, break on the ball, and when receivers came across the middle, Lott was waiting, like a predator. Lott led the league with 10 interceptions in 1986. But the interceptions weren't what scared people. The hits were. Lott would time his hits perfectly, wait for the receiver to catch the ball, commit to the catch, then explode through them, not around them, through them. Helmet to chest, shoulder to ribs. He wanted receivers to feel it, to remember it, to think about it next time they ran a crossing route. Here's what made Ronnie Lott different. Most safeties play the ball, they go for interceptions, they try to break up passes. Lott played the man. He wanted contact, wanted violence. He believed that if you hit a receiver hard enough, they'd drop the ball. They'd think twice next time. They'd run softer routes. And he was right. Receivers changed their routes against the Niners. They ran shorter crossers. They stayed away from the middle. They released slower off the line because they knew Lott was back there. That's domination. That's controlling the game without touching the ball. Let's talk about specific hits. The plays that made Ronnie Lott a legend. 1983. Playoff game against the Detroit Lions. Freddie Scott caught a pass over the middle. Lott came downhill, launched himself, hit Scott so hard that Scott fumbled. The ball popped loose. The Niners recovered. But that's not the story. The story is what happened to Freddie Scott. He left the game, didn't come back. Lott had knocked him out. Clean hit, legal, devastating. That's the Ronnie Lott special. After that game, every receiver in the league watched the tape. They saw what happened to Freddie Scott. They knew, if you go over the middle against the Niners, Ronnie Lott is coming. 1986, Monday Night Football. The Niners versus the Redskins. Art Monk caught a pass. One of the toughest receivers ever. Fearless. Lott hit him. Full speed. Helmet to helmet. This was before the rules changed. Before player safety became the priority. Lott could hit however he wanted. And he wanted to hit hard. Monk fumbled, got up slow, walked back to the huddle. But you could see it. The respect. The fear. Even Art Monk, one of the toughest guys in the league, knew. Ronnie Lott was different. Here's the thing about Lott's hits. They were legal. He wasn't a dirty player. He didn't go for knees, didn't spear guys, didn't hit late. He just hit hard, perfectly timed, perfectly placed. He understood leverage, understood angles. He'd come downhill at full speed and arrive at the exact moment the receiver caught the ball. The receiver was defenseless, focused on the catch, then boom, Lott obliterated them. That's not luck. That's skill. That's studying film, understanding routes, knowing where the ball was going before the quarterback threw it. Ronnie Lott was a student of the game, who happened to hit like a freight train. Let's talk about the finger. 1985. Lott crushed his left pinky finger, shattered it. The doctor said he needed surgery. They could reconstruct it, but he'd miss games, maybe weeks. Lott said no. He wanted to play. The doctor said the only other option was amputation, cut off the tip. Lott said do it. They amputated the tip of his pinky finger. No hesitation, no second thoughts. Lott played the next game with 9.5 fingers. That's the mentality. That's the toughness. That's Ronnie Lott. He valued playing football more than having 10 fingers. That story spread through the league. Every player heard it. Every receiver heard it. If Ronnie Lott cut off part of his finger to play, what else would he do? What wouldn't he sacrifice? That's psychological warfare. From 1981 to 1986, the Niners won 4 Super Bowls. 4 in 6 years. Ronnie Lott was the leader of that defense, the enforcer, the tone setter. Joe Montana and Jerry Rice got the glory. The stats, the commercials, but Lott was the foundation. The defense won games, and Lott was the defense. He made 10 Pro Bowls, 8 first-team All-Pro selections, 63 career interceptions, 5 fumble recoveries. That's a Hall of Fame career. But the stats don't capture the fear, the intimidation, the way receivers ran different routes because Ronnie Lott was on the field. Here's how you know Ronnie Lott was different. Watch film from the 80s. Watch how receivers behaved. When they ran crossing routes against the Niners, they looked for Lott first. Before catching the ball, before the route was complete, they wanted to know where he was. That's fear. Elite receivers, Hall of Famers, looking for Ronnie Lott before catching the ball. That affected completion percentages, caused drops, changed play calling. Offensive coordinators game planned around Ronnie Lott. They'd run plays away from his side of the field. They'd send decoy routes to occupy him. They'd avoid the middle when he was roaming free. That's respect. That's dominance. Compare Ronnie Lott to modern safeties. Ed Reed, ball hawk, great instincts, 1989 interceptions. But Ed Reed wasn't a hitter. He played the ball. Troy Polamalu, explosive, incredible range, 32 interceptions. But Polamalu wasn't the intimidator Lott was. Sean Taylor could have been. Taylor hit like Lott, had that same violence, that same mentality. But Taylor's career was cut short. He died in 2007. Only 4 seasons as a starter. We'll never know how great he could have been. But he had that Ronnie Lott gene, that willingness to destroy people. Modern safeties don't hit like Lott. They can't. The rules won't allow it. Helmet-to-helmet hits are penalized. Defenseless receiver rules protect offensive players. The game changed, became safer, but also softer. Ronnie Lott couldn't play in today's NFL. He'd be flagged every game, suspended, fined. His style of play is illegal now. That's progress. Player safety matters, but it also means we'll never see another Ronnie Lott. Let's talk about the psychological impact. Receivers went into games against the Niners, thinking about Ronnie Lott. That's half the battle. Fear affects performance, makes guys hesitate, run half speed, bail on routes. Lott knew this. He cultivated it. He wanted receivers afraid, wanted them thinking about the hit before the catch. That's a competitive advantage. And it worked. The Niners' defense was consistently elite, not just because of talent, because of attitude, because of Ronnie Lott setting the tone, showing everyone what physicality looked like, what toughness looked like. 1987, the Niners played the Chicago Bears, Walter Payton's last season. The Bears had a great offense. The Niners shut them down. Lott had 2 interceptions. But more importantly, he controlled the game. Every time the Bears tried to throw over the middle, Lott was there, threatening, waiting. The Bears adjusted, threw shorter passes, ran more. That's winning without statistics. That's dominating through presence. Here's another story. 1990, Lott signed with the Raiders, left the Niners, went to Oakland. He was 31, older, slower, but still dangerous, still feared. The Raiders needed a leader, needed toughness. They got Ronnie Lott. He played 2 seasons in Oakland, made the Pro Bowl both years. At 31 and 32, most safeties declined by then. Lose a step, can't cover anymore. Lott was still hitting, still making plays, still scaring people. Then he went to the Jets for 2 seasons, 1993 and 94. Finished his career in New York. By then, he was 35. His body was breaking down. The hits he gave out for 13 years had consequences. But he never complained, never made excuses, just played until he couldn't anymore. Ronnie Lott retired with 63 interceptions, 5 fumble recoveries, 10 Pro Bowls, 8 first-team All-Pro selections, 4 Super Bowl rings, Hall of Fame induction in 2000. First ballot, 92% of the vote. That's as close to unanimous as you get. The voters knew. Ronnie Lott was special, not just good, special, generational. A player who changed the game, who made offenses adjust, who created fear, who played with a level of violence and intensity that defined an era. Here's why Ronnie Lott matters today. Because toughness matters. Because physicality matters. Modern football is different, safer, more protected. But something was lost. The fear factor, the intimidation, the understanding that catching a pass over the middle meant you'd pay a price. Ronnie Lott represented that price. He made receivers earn every yard, every catch, every completion. That's football, real football, the way the game was meant to be played, before the rules softened it, before the lawyers got involved. Ronnie Lott played when football was violent, and he was the most violent of them all. When we talk about the greatest safeties in NFL history, Ronnie Lott is in the conversation. Top 3, maybe number 1. Ed Reed has more interceptions, but Lott was more complete. Better against the run, better hitter, more intimidating. Troy Polamalu was more explosive, but Lott was more consistent, more durable, better leader. Rod Woodson was more versatile, played corner and safety, but Woodson didn't hit like Lott, didn't create the same fear. Ronnie Lott is the standard, the prototype, the measuring stick for every safety who came after. Can you hit? Can you cover? Can you lead? Can you intimidate? Can you change the way offenses game plan? That's the Ronnie Lott test, and nobody's passed it since. Here's the final thing you need to know. Ronnie Lott played football the way it was meant to be played. with violence, with intensity, with a complete disregard for his own body. He sacrificed everything for the game, his fingers, his health, his long-term well-being, and he did it willingly, happily, because he loved football, loved hitting, loved competing. That's rare. That's special. That's why he's in the Hall of Fame. Not just because of the stats, because of the way he played, the standard he set, the fear he created. Ronnie Lott made receivers afraid to cross the middle. That's power. That's dominance. That's legacy. 4 Super Bowl rings, 10 Pro Bowls, 63 interceptions, 9.5 fingers, and the most brutal safety who ever lived. Receivers still talk about him. 30 years after he retired, they remember the hits, the pain, the fear. That's immortality. That's what separates good players from legends. Stats fade. Championships are won and lost. But fear lasts forever. And Ronnie Lott created more fear than any safety in NFL history. So the next time someone asks you about the greatest safeties ever, don't just say Ed Reed. Don't just say Troy Polamalu. Say Ronnie Lott, because he belongs at the top, because he changed the game, because he played with a level of violence and physicality that will never be seen again, because he cut off part of his finger to keep playing, because receivers are still afraid of him. 30 years later, that's greatness. That's legacy. That's Ronnie Lott. If you want more NFL legends like this, subscribe. More coming soon.